So here's a quick pointer to how to understand the term insight that is used in meditation. So when we commonly talk about insight, what we mean is an intellectual understanding. We say, oh, I have an insight into such and such matter. I understand this or that. But with Vipassana, with spiritual insight, that's not what we mean. So you may be meditating, you do a Vipassana style insight meditation, and you have all sorts of kind of intellectual insights along the way. You may think that's Vipassana, but actually that's not. Insights in meditation is not something that is verbalized in the mind. It's not something that you perceive as a thought while you're meditating. Those are sometimes very helpful in regards to how you interact with people in your life, what you are doing. You get insights into all kinds of stuff related to your life, and this can be really helpful, really great, and be a real benefit of meditation, but it's not Vipassana. When you have a truly genuine spiritual insight, that is a restructuring, a recontextualization of every moment that you experience, of this real first-hand sensory experience that you have. And it's not something that you have to verbalize in your mind in order to understand. So when someone comes to you and asks you a question about your spiritual insight, you don't have to remember something, you don't have to somehow think about what you're going to answer. You're going to go to your senses, because the reality that you are then experiencing after a genuine spiritual insight will be reflected in what you experience. So you don't have to learn anything about it, and it again won't come as an intellectual word and an intellectual understanding in your mind. That will be, the spiritual insight will probably be accompanied by something that your mind tries to capture, tries to understand, tries to put into words. So this new situation that you find yourself now in will probably have a lot of downstream effects in the intellectual mind, and that's probably going to come out as words, as like verbal understanding. But it will not be, and that's the critical point, it will not be the genuine spiritual insight. So what Vipassana meditation leads to is not some thought. So whenever you do Vipassana style meditation and you have a thought pop up in your mind that is really genuinely trying to tell you something about your practice, about what you're perceiving now, a new understanding, you can regard that as not it. You recognize that as another thought. So whatever is your meditation object usually is not a thought, and so you regard it as a distraction from that, and you return to whatever you're focusing on. Don't get caught up in these stories about your practice. That's really important, because it's so sneaky, it's so subtle, and it feels so right and true, and like it's really about practice, like it's really something valuable in practice to have these insights and engage in them. But it's not Vipassana. It's not going to lead to insight if you engage in those thoughts. If you recognize them for what they are and you return to your practice, that's good practice. You return to your focus object, then that's good practice. So just wanted to point out this subtle but important difference, because the spiritual seeker, which is made up of these spiritual thoughts that explain your experience to yourself, is a very sneaky, very subtle, and sometimes difficult to overcome last or remaining part of the ego, of the obstacle to great and deeper insight. So look out for that whenever some distraction from your focus object is actually telling you something about that object, it is no better than any other thought that is distracting you from focusing further and more continuously on your object of meditation. Hope that was helpful. Let me know your comments and your personal experience down below this video. And with that, thank you for watching. See you in the next video.